I'm Manuela. I am a mother of one 2-year-old son, Kai. We live in Bali with myself, my husband, and him, Kai. And I'm a human design coach. And I have been using that to try to understand as much as possible him, my son, and our dynamics. But the session with you has come in very handy and so helpful in understanding more sides of these toddler years, the first years of a child life when they cannot communicate so well. So it's a bit more difficult to understand their needs. When we spoke the first time, the main issues that we faced were he had a lot of separation anxiety that was ongoing for quite a few months. And also some sleep issues at night that he would wake up a lot in the night, a lot of wakings, especially if I wasn't there, and would cry for me and he would ask for my name and not settle until I came. Which some of this I knew it was normal, but something nagging at me. There was something of this, or all of these symptoms or all of these signs that just didn't seem necessarily right. When it comes to the separation anxiety, every time that I try to leave a room or to leave the house, he would just cling to me and start crying and screaming, and he wouldn't stop until I. If it was up to him, I had to stay at home or in the same room constantly. He would always look for me. So whatever he was doing, he would also like making sure that I'm still there in the room or still in close proximity. And if I did go, when I did have to go to leave, he would cry for a long time afterwards. And it would be very difficult to be consoled, no matter if he was left with his babysitter or with his father. He basically just wanted me. Confused, triggered, I felt that this whole situation made me feel very anxious. It brought up a lot of feelings of my own that I know that they don't necessarily didn't have to do with the situation per se, but they were triggered by it. I did not feel easy. Every time I had to go through this, it was a dread, knowing that this is what would happen, and afterwards, feelings of guilt. Am I doing the right thing? Overall anxious. So, yeah, not the greatest. Our first session together, even before we actually had the live session, the material that you sent me beforehand, the video that I watched in preparation, that got me more familiar with the concept of aware parenting and what it means and how it can help. It was very mind opening. There were a lot of concepts there that I was not aware of. And even though I have tried to, ever since I became a mom, I did paid a lot of attention to my son's emotions and I knew how important it is. I did not follow it from this perspective. And when I read and I listened to this part, it was mind blowing and let's just say the game changer. I did understand things a bit different level, to say. And then we had our session together and we had this lovely exercise. We did this lovely exercise with me where I had to go back and my emotions and my triggers, see where this all started with me a long time ago. And I became, it's strange that only that session changed me in a very profound way, in the sense that it made me not see this situation the way I did before. So it took out the anxiety part, and those emotions did not come afterwards, did not come up myself. And also, you gave me a lot of good, super useful, simple strategies to implement in our daily life. And those were super, super helpful. And I could see immediately.
And tell me what happened. What did you discover in the session? Was there something particular that was an epiphany or an understanding that you had that before you didn't have, which helped eliminate the anxiety? Or was it just a feeling that you had?
I'm not sure if I understand exactly what happened in that session with the two of us. I just know that afterwards, whenever I was faced with him crying with the same separation anxiety that he had before, my reaction was not the same. I felt somewhat detached, not in the negative sense, but more like I did not take it personal. And I was able to have more clarity around it and to see it for what it was rather than amplifying his emotions and my emotion and just making a big emotional mess in my mind. It gave me clarity for sure. And I was able to face it in a more objective way.
Amazing. That's so beautiful and it's so helpful. And even just, I really I don't want parents to underestimate the power of having processing their own feelings and emotions because just that alone, even without doing much strategy, can shift everything to a completely different
Absolutely.
direction.
Absolutely.
And so, what was the turning point?
After we had the session, I started implementing the little strategies that you spoke about. And the first few days, nothing changed considerably. I couldn't see any major changes. But then all of a sudden, he stopped crying. He stopped crying when I had to go somewhere. During the same time, he started preschool. And the first few weeks were hard on him, like for any toddler. He used to cry when I left him before having the session with you. It left me with a heavy heart to leave him there. Afterwards, though, understanding that it's okay for him to cry and there is no problem, I am not going to traumatize. He's not going to be traumatized just because he's crying, which was maybe this was the epiphany that you asked me before. I think this realization that I'm not going to traumatize him just because I let him cry, as long as I support him and I'm there for him. So after that, after realizing that, everything changed in the sense that he stopped crying. He was okay. I feel like he can now see through me. He can see that I'm not so anxious anymore and I don't bring the same emotions in this situation. And he's just okay and he understands that this is just something that are a change in his little life, in our life. But that's so the separation anxiety changes were the first ones that I noticed. And afterwards, I did see that he started sleeping much better at night as well. Before, he used to wake up after around 2 hours after was going down. He would wake up asking for me, screaming, crying for me. Now, he doesn't do that. He just sleeps through. We still sleep together, so we co-sleep, but he doesn't wake up unless sometimes he needs one sip of water in the night. It's rare, but he does wake up for that, and then he goes back to sleep. But not crying or not searching for me as frantically as he used to before.
How was that for
It
you?
was like I feel so relieved. It's like a huge burden that I was carrying and just dropped off my shoulders and off my heart and off my chest everywhere. So I feel much lighter and much, I don't know, it's been more enjoying. I've been enjoying it more being a mom and parenting, even when he cries. I'm not saying that now he's this perfect, but this toddler that doesn't cry at all because he's a toddler. He is too, and he will have tantrums now and then, never, because he doesn't have his favorite T-shirt or don't give him the apple is cut in the wrong way. But these are just things that I now understand they're normal, and I don't get attached to this
Yeah.
experience. I support him whenever he needs me. He knows that I'm there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. And I just want to go back to this moment where you shared about toddlers crying and still doing tantrums and all of these things.
That's a very good question. So before our work together, I had the idea, which was fueled by my own experience as a child. As a reference context, is I was not supported in any way being a child, so I was left to cry to soothe myself for various reasons from a very early age. So, as a mother, I always tried to do the opposite. I always said, I am not going to let my child cry under any circumstances. Whenever this happened, and it happened because he's a child and his needs, like everything was communicated through crying, especially in the first few months, I tried to do everything I could think of to stop him from crying. That included distracting him with food, with milk, with toys, with games, with constant entertainment. And it was exhausting, to say the least. Exhausting, and it didn't really change anything in the sense that After that, he used to cry even more, just asking for these things, like asking for constant entertainment, asking for food every 10 minutes because maybe he had a different issue that he was going through. But now, after we had our session together, I understand that they do need to cry, and it's so good for them to cry to release all the pent up emotions and frustrations and experiences that they have in their little life. Just because they're little doesn't mean that they don't accumulate things. And as opposed to us as adults, they don't know how to self-regulate this. So crying is plays a huge role in that was life changing.
I'm not sure what happened
Oh,
to the recording, but
sorry.
your sound just went away in the last three
Okay,
seconds
so
or
you couldn't
so.
hear anything that I said?
Just in the last few sentences that you said. And then you were talking about how your understanding of crying has changed, that they have to process the emotions and feeling
Mm-hmm. Yes,
experiences.
the fact that I understand now that they have all these pent up emotions and experiences and frustrations, and that they need to let go of them. And crying is such an essential part of releasing all of this. Of course, crying in a supported environment, me there, not letting him cry by himself. But this has been very a game changer in our experience together.
And how did this impact your life, your sleep, your energy levels, your mood, stress levels?
As far as my life is concerned, I do feel much lighter, as I mentioned before. I don't feel as stressed. I feel like every day is much easier to take on. There's nothing before I used to think, oh my God, I hope he's not gonna have a lot of, especially if I had days when I had to go out from the house a few times or I was busy. I was always dreading that moment of leaving the house. And now I don't have that problem anymore. It's just like I go to him, I tell him what's gonna happen, give him a few options what he wants to do while I'm away, and then I just go and I live with a light heart and no guilt, and that has improved my life a lot. You don't know until you don't have it there. It's difficult to explain before.
It's so true. And what about sleep? How has the fact that he's now sleeping through the night improved your sleep and your energy
My sleep
life?
and my energy levels are at a new level. So I haven't slept so much in 2 years. Before we had our session together, I was considering stopping the co-sleeping situation just because I couldn't get any quality sleep in, and I was always exhausted, always lacking energy. And now that things are so much better, I actually enjoy sleeping with him, and I don't feel like I want to move. This is not a doesn't have a sense of urgency anymore. It's like whenever the time comes, we will do it, but not because of this reason or because I couldn't sleep. It has changed.
I think co-sleeping is the sweetest, most beautiful thing. And I feel like it when it's right and when it feels right and you actually both get to sleep, it just meets like it meets my need for that beautiful
True.
connection, close proximity that's just so beautiful. And I hate seeing parents having to stop that because they're not getting sleep and also the baby not getting sleep. So I'm just so happy to hear that get to
Yes.
continue doing that. That's
Yes.
beautiful.
That was a very nice result.
And what would you say was your biggest win or tangible result during the time that we worked together or as a result of working together?
So, from our experience together, our practice together, our session together, and everything that happened afterwards, and all the support that you gave me all throughout the weeks that followed, I have to say that I gained a lot more sleeping time. So now I get to rest and have my energy levels are much higher than before, and yeah, that sleep has always been very important for me. So I feel it. This is a major gain, major win. And then the simple realization that, as I mentioned before, by letting him cry or by experiencing, witnessing his emotions and his frustrations, and it doesn't mean that I'm traumatizing him or that I'm creating any long lasting traumas as I used to think before. That's a big realization. Even though he has the space to safely cry and express himself, he doesn't need to anymore so much. And he has stopped being so anxious. Now we do drop offs and he just waves at me and then smiles and walks away. And it's been less than a month that we started preschool. So that is, I feel like it happened very fast. Also, when I go from home anywhere and he's okay to stay with his babysitter or with his dad. So all of these are all huge wins in my book. Grateful for you for all the newly acquired and newly information and all the tips and strategies that are so easy and simple to implement wanted and it much and much happier. So for anyone else that is in the same boat as I was before, I just have to say, just give it a shot. Just try it. Even if you're not behind this idea from the beginning, like beforehand, just give it a try, see how it feels, how it resonates. And I am 200% sure that the results will speak for themselves. I will not say that I wasn't skeptical at any point. It was like a new idea that I wanted to try because I have reached a level of desperation at that point. I wanted to try, I wanted to see if it works, but I was not sure it is going to work. Then the results spoke for themselves. It was just nobody convinced me. Nobody is nothing that had been convinced to believe without seeing results. So that's what I'm saying. If anyone wants to just give it a try, if you have any issues with sleep, with crying, with not understanding what's going on with your child, give this a try and you will be surprised. Absolutely. Yes. After hindsight, I realized that my feelings were there obstructing the way much more than his little feelings. Like his were there, but it was not the same. The effect was on me, caused by me. I guess it's more like the experiences attached with to those feelings, to those emotions, and how we see them as coming up for us. Because once after we did that exercise together, the emotions that I had, it's not like they magically disappear, but I could just observe them and understand them better than not always trying to shove them down somewhere deep so they don't come out because they're uncomfortable. I loved during our session the exercise that we did, that you did, helping me with my emotions, which was a combination of meditation with I don't even know how I would describe that, but it was so soothing and relaxing for me. It felt like you worked with my inner child, like you helped me at that level. So that was a very sweet part because it wasn't just the giving the strategies and the tips and how to do that. It was all of this together. Yeah. The fact that your support afterwards was very important, and the fact that I got the constant feedback from what was happening and how to twitch little situations, how to try to improve or do a little bit better, because we're all learning. So that is nice. The support that you don't feel like you are the session finished and you're by yourself now. Just figure it out. So that is an important part for me. Yeah. Probably any parent at any age, because I'm in the thick of it. I think that parents with young children who are still at the point where they cannot communicate very well, and where as a parent you constantly ask yourself, think you of what can I do to better support him? What can I do to better understand and help him with what he needs? I think for us at this stage, this would be very